Hi everyone, I want to welcome my brother. Prince Dennis is from Nigeria, primarily University of Port Harcourt. He graduated with a first class in University of Port Harcourt.
I am Prince Dennis. I am from Nigeria. I had my bachelor's degree in Earth Science and Biotechnology from the University of Port Harcourt.
You had opportunities to get a good job with good offers, but because you have a goal in mind that you want to explore PhD opportunities in the United States, you actually volunteered in a position which helps you build on your research experience. Because I was about to ask you, we don't have much research capability in Nigeria. So how were you able to use that as a leverage? But you said you volunteered. Can you tell us a little bit about where you volunteered and how you used that as a leverage to earn a fully paid PhD tuition-free position in the United States?
So like I said, I feel like I needed to volunteer because I had a goal in mind and I didn't want to settle for something that perhaps would not help me attain the goal I wanted to attain. So what I did was that I decided to contact a few professors back in my alma mater at the University of Port Harcourt from 2017, and they recommended me to several institutions. Like I said, I will be speaking from the biological science perspective. Of course, it will vary from discipline to discipline. CS would probably not going to work in an agricultural research institution. So for me, in the biological sciences, I volunteered at the Forestry Research Institute of Nigeria, Department of Biosciences. I learned a few skills there, basic fundamental science of biology, PCR mechanism, cell and tissue culture, that were very helpful for me. I also did an internship at the National Center for Genetic Resources and Biotechnology, NSCGREB of the Federal Ministry of Science and Technology, Ibadan, Nigeria. And here, of course, I worked in the molecular biology unit, and there I got the required experiences I needed. Of course, all these were volunteer, which meant I just had to apply for volunteer. And at times I was paid a little stipend, at times I wasn't. And I just had to do what I needed to do to get what I wanted. The most people talk part was I volunteered to work in the research the University College Hospital, Department of Medical Microbiology. And there I worked on hepatitis C virus molecular characterization. So yeah, I got to learn about the genotypes. We did the genotyping, and we ran ELISA, enzyme-linked immunosorbent assay, rapid kit detection. We did all that, and the PCRO, that's the real-time PCR actually. We did all that, and all those experiences gave me an insight into what to expect in grad school. If you have a degree, for example, if you have a degree in whatever discipline and you feel like you want to pursue research in the biological sciences, feel free to get the experiences in those areas. It will be very helpful in your pursuit of grad school.
If I get it correctly, what you're saying is you finished with a degree in plant biotechnology and you want to do a research that involves human biology. Feel free to get experience in areas of human biology and then apply to the human biology department here in the United States. Is that what you're saying?
Absolutely. It actually helped me in pursuing grad school. It helped me a lot.
Talking about your interview, what are the preparations you made and what kind of advice are you going to give to people that wants to do face-to-face interview with the graduate program and also with the prospective advisors? And when she contacted you that you're going to be a good fit for my program, what steps you took in terms of the interview? And who interviewed you?
I was interviewed by the graduate admissions committee, and in the interview, there was a panel of about 6 questions to the interview. Yeah, basically key. I can recall most of them. First question was about introducing myself, and I think it's key to be as direct as possible. And then perhaps it's also worthwhile if I explain the attitude towards the interview. It's been nice having a good, a confident gaze, and what got for me was actually my smile. I had to smile, even if I was tense. I had to smile. So that was key for me. And I asked about my most influential research experience. Then they went ahead to ask about my future career goal. the key was to maintain confidence. I knew what I wanted to do. I prepared for the possible questions. I also knew my research. I knew what I put on my SOP, and my SOP was kind of this thing. It took me a lot to put down the SOP. I spent months on that, months on that.
So can you walk people through what is SOP?
That's the statement of purpose. It's very important for the PhD program. It's more or less a statement of research interest, and it's different from a personal statement. So you want to be professional, you want to be mature, and what we key is avoid putting personal information that has no link to your research. You just have to discuss technical terms, show that you know your language, that you have a command of a scientific area you're interested in pursuing your research in. I was able to highlight my research experience succinctly. So it's all about putting those technical information, knowing what you want to do, and understanding the program. You have to have a thorough understanding of the program, what they do, the kind of research they do, their research interest, and you must ensure they are related to your own research interest to see that you be a good fit with the program.
You did your homework well. You read a lot of papers. You were not only reading the papers, you were studying them. You were citing the statements they make. And there is no better way to captivate the interest of your prospective PI than actually citing their work. What was your GRE score?
My GRE score was 298.
So that means that GRE is a major factor, but it's not a deciding factor. What's the minimum requirements for the program in Indiana for GRE? What's the minimum GRE score you must get? Do you know?
For my specific program and department, the GRE score is not required for applying, and it's actually similar to most other universities too. There are a few universities there that decide to use the GRE, and they have reasons for doing that. But less in the same IU, there were still a few other programs that require the GRE in the CS, that's computer science, maths, physics, chemistry. A few of those programs require the GRE. They have their reasons for that. And generally speaking, what I would say concerning the GRE is that as much as the GRE is important, if a program decides to stipulate the minimum GRE requirements in their application portal or site, it's good for you to get at least the minimum GRE requirements. It will be helpful, knowing if you the end of the bargain. But the GRE actually is more or less like a filtering system. Once it's been used to filter let's say if the program has a certain number of applicants and they want to cut down the applicants to a few, they might use the GRE, but the GRE actually is never a deciding factor. Never a deciding factor. So
yeah, let me put this question this way. Someone has 298 in GRE and the minimum GRE score for that particular program is 300, but she had 298. She had very good research experience. She had a 4.5 out of 5 GPA. Would you still encourage that person to apply to that same program?
It can be black or white, actually, but personally, absolutely, I will encourage you to apply. Absolutely.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I would still go ahead and apply. The worst that's going to happen is for them to say no, but I think what you recommended was even a smarter approach. Before you apply to the program, contact the PIs there, contact the professors and weigh your options and see what their responses are. If they don't give you a positive, reasonable response, then find another university to go to in order to get to the program. And as you've rightly said, not all universities require you to have a GRE score or a perfect GRE score before you can enter the program. Given your experiences and given what you have accomplished, what is it like during this COVID-19? Because your expectation is by now you should probably be planning to jump on a plane and get into the United States, but things are not working the way things are, and it's not really obvious or certain that they're going to be having face-to-face contact or conversation in the school. We have to be having a face-to-face contact, the student and the professor, or in-class activity. It's not really certain yet. Most universities are primarily just thinking, well, maybe we should do this or not. Nothing is fixed, but my point is, how are you handling this period as you are planning to transition when COVID is over? And what kind of advice will you give to other students that happen to be in similar situations as you are right now? What can they start doing now before they eventually start their program?
Different strokes for different folks. And what I would say is to be positive and to always hope for the best. I think I see this time as, if you are planning on applying to grad school and like you've not yet gotten to grad school, at this time you might use it to, I know it can be difficult, of course, getting internships or getting, such positions, but you can use it to start you working on something, volunteer to work on research, anything. I think it's helpful for you to add that to your resume or CV. And for those of us who probably got into a grad program and are planning to go to the US, all I can say is stay in contact with your program to know what the expectations are. Personally, my program, we've been having a lot of communication, and I think that's been key. We've been enjoying the communication with our professors. We have meetings quite often.
The question is, what kind of advice can you give to people that want to enjoy the opportunities you have right now? They also want to come to the United States to study. What are the most important things that needs to be done for them to get funded during their PhD program or their master's program?
I think the key is information. Information. In the 21st century, we have the internet, we have Google, Google Scholar, ResearchGate. If you're interested in posting grad school research, then I think you need to get exposed to all this. And sadly enough, not everyone has the opportunity to get exposed to all that, but you need to be disciplined enough to know what you want and do your research, do your homework, to know what interests you. Like when I was in my undergraduate program, I specifically excelled in chemistry, biochemistry, molecular biology. I loved molecular biology. I was passionate about it, and I had several things about for it as a discipline. So I knew what I wanted to do. If I was going to pursue grad school, I knew I wanted to pursue it in molecular biology and related disciplines, of course. So I think know what you wanted, know what you loved in undergraduate program, and work towards it and gain the research experience. The research experience is key. It makes you stand out as an individual, as a person. So the research experience for me was key. I also advise them to read, if you're in the science, in the STEM, science, technology, engineering, and maths. If you're in your final year of education, you are committed with reading literatures, read literatures, get exposed to that. I also started using Google Scholar around the same period. Google Scholar, ResearchGate, read articles to know the recent research going on in your field of interest. Build yourself, build your scientific vocabulary. Very important. Know the ins and outs of your program, and it will be very helpful. And then, of course, these are technical terms. Then take the bold step. Apply. If you don't apply, you will never know the results. And something else I wish we talked about was letter of recommendation. That was actually very key. Having a well-crafted letter of recommendation will be very key. So you need to stay in touch with your professors from your undergraduate program. Inform them about your plans for applying to grad school. And hopefully they're willing to write a good recommendation letter to you. And when you are requested by the university you're applying to submit letter of recommendation or recommenders, advice for you to work with your recommenders in drafting your letter of recommendation. The letter of recommendation was key in getting into the program. Universities you're applying to should be universities, not just universities, because at the graduate level, you're not applying to college, you're not applying to the university as a whole, you're applying to the program. So I think it's key for you to understand the program of interest. Like most PhD programs, I think I haven't seen an exception in the STEM. It's usually fully funded.
Yeah.
It's usually fully funded, and then you get the offer. I personally, my program personally, I actually was also able to, of course, through you, Dr. Ajayi. Yeah, thank you again for that. They were willing to pay for my flight ticket to the United States, and I mean, it's just information. And if I hadn't got the information from you, Dr. Ajayi, probably wouldn't have bothered asking them. So I think the information is very important. It'd be nice if we can make use of the information. And like you said, I should email them. I texted my graduate coordinator, and then he said, "Oh, he will take care of the flight tickets."
You did mention that you contacted past students in the professor's lab.
Yeah.
How did that go, and how helpful were those information that you got from the students?
Not all past students, because students in the lab are usually very busy. I think they're usually very busy, so you might not always get a response from them. Even PIs, oftentimes when you email PIs probably won't reply you. So it's quite difficult to get a response from them. Mm-hmm. But I was kind of fortunate to email the students who was very willing to help.
Yeah, and the reason why I'm bringing this up is because, as I said earlier on, I have close to about 28 videos about all these scholarship processes, and one of the videos is the power of an insider. And a lot of people don't really understand how powerful insiders in the department could be and how instrumental it could be in determining the outcome of your application. Like you said, helping you out in the SOP, helping you out before, during, and after.
Just to recall, actually, amazingly, my first contact with the PI, actually, I did not actually send the email to the PI directly. That's absolutely sensational.
Oh wow! So you contacted
yes.
a postdoc at that time, right?
It was a PhD student at that time.
A PhD student, just to weigh your options, yeah. Right? And then he forwarded your email to the PI, and then you got a response instantly. That's brilliant. I'm really, really excited you pointed that out, because that's probably going to come into the power of networking and power of an insider, which is very, very important. So one last question, and this primarily speaks to you. When you get into the United States here, what advice do you have for people that are currently here and going to be doing research or studying? What advice do you have for them in order to make themselves outstanding?
I think there are a few of us that are doing very well there, and we can always follow in the footsteps. And like you, Dr. Jai, about my contact interaction with you, you've been very encouraging, and and with the plans you have to assist people interested in pursuing grad school in the United States from Nigeria and all over the world. I think you are doing the right job. So yeah, it is way, because I'm not just representing myself, I'm representing my family, I'm representing my alma mater, the University of Port Harcourt. I'm representing Nigeria, I'm representing Africa. So when I'm coming in there, it's going to be not just me, but knowing that I am representing a group of people. So I would say that I will have to definitely work hard. And to all those who are also coming in, we should be proactive.
Yeah, well, it answers the question. I think the point I really want to make is letting people really understand the fact that you have an opportunity to not only to represent yourself, but to be the best that you are destined to be, and make sure that you set the pace for others to follow. You are a trailblazer in whatever you do research-wise. Dennis, thank you so much. Dennis, thank you so much for your time. I know we've really learned a lot from your depth of wisdom.